Ever notice how the people who doubt their intelligence often control the room without trying? That doubt isn't weakness, it's a signal. Dark psychology calls it inverse confidence, when a sharp mind hides behind humility. If you've ever felt average while quietly seeing through people, stay with me, because high IQ doesn't announce itself, it leaves fingerprints. Habit 1 starts with silence. Not awkward silence, weaponized silence. While others rush to speak, high IQ minds pause. In that pause, they read motives, power shifts, emotional leaks. They let people reveal themselves. Every extra word someone spills becomes data. This isn't shyness, it's dominance, disguised as restraint. And here's the unsettling truth. The more comfortable you are saying nothing, the more control you gain over conversations, negotiations, even conflict. Silence bends outcomes. Watch closely. Habit 2 is where people start calling you difficult. You question things others swallow instantly. Rules, traditions, popular opinions. In dark psychology, this is cognitive resistance, the refusal to let authority replace understanding. High Q minds feel physical discomfort accepting ideas without proof. You don't argue to win. You probe to expose cracks. When someone says, "That's just how it is," your brain hears danger. Because blind agreement is how manipulation spreads. This habit quietly protects you from propaganda, bad leaders, and emotional traps. But here's the tension. The more you question, the more isolated you can feel. People prefer comfort over truth, and that puts you on the outside looking in, which leads directly to the next habit 1 that explains why you see outcomes before they happen. Habit 3 feels almost supernatural. You notice patterns everywhere. Not just numbers or data, but behaviors, tone shifts, repeated mistakes. In dark psychology, this is predictive cognition. Your brain isn't guessing, it's calculating beneath awareness. You can sense when a relationship will fail before the first argument. You know when a deal will collapse before the paperwork is signed. And when it happens, people say, "How did you know?" The truth. The signs were always there. Others just ignored them. But this ability comes with a cost. Once your brain locks onto patterns, it never shuts off. You see loops, cycles, inevitabilities. It can feel exhausting, even lonely. And that constant pattern recognition triggers the next habit 1 that turns boredom into obsession and chaos into puzzles. Habit 4 makes you restless in broken systems. You walk into chaos and instantly want to fix it. Not because you're controlling, but because inefficiency feels loud in your brain. In dark psychology, this is optimization, compulsion. High Q minds experience disorder, like an itch that must be scratched. You see shortcuts others miss, faster paths, cleaner logic. While people complain, you're already redesigning the process in your head. To you, problems aren't stressful, they're invitations. But here's the friction. When you solve problems no one asked you to solve, people don't always thank you. Sometimes they resist. Sometimes they feel exposed. Because fixing a system often reveals who benefited from it being broken. And that tension pushes high Q minds toward a strange habit, next one, that completely changes how they consume information. Habit 5 is invisible from the outside. You read but not for entertainment, not even for knowledge. In dark psychology, this is model harvesting. High Q minds consume information to steal how people think, not what they think. You jump between topics that look unrelated. Psychology today, history tomorrow, strategy, biology, philosophy. To others, it feels scattered. But in your mind, these ideas are merging into something sharper, a private mental weapon. You're not memorizing facts, you're collecting lenses. Each book upgrades how you see reality and how you see people. That's why manipulation rarely works on you. You recognize the pattern behind the words. But this habit triggers something dangerous. The more perspectives you absorb, the deeper your thinking becomes. And that leads to the next habit one most people mistake for overthinking. Habit 6 is mislabeled by society. They call it overthinking. Dark psychology calls it layered cognition. While most people loop the same fear again and again, high-Q minds build downward layer by layer until they hit truth. You simulate futures. You test outcomes before they exist. Failure doesn't scare you because you've already survived it mentally. By the time you act, the chaos has been mapped, disarmed, neutralized. That's why you appear calm under pressure. It's not confidence, it's preparation. You already know where this road ends. But here's the twist. This depth makes noise unbearable. Drama feels pointless, which awakens the next habit one that scares most people but feeds your mind. Habit 7 is silence, but this time it's chosen. You don't fear being alone with your thoughts. You crave it. In dark psychology, silence is where unconscious processing turns into insight. Most people avoid it because their thoughts attack them. Yours organize themselves. In quiet moments, ideas collide, patterns align, solutions appear without warning. That's why your best thoughts come in the shower, on late walks, staring at nothing. Silence isn't empty for you, it's active. Others mistake this for detachment, coldness, even arrogance. But they don't see what's happening inside. Your brain is recalibrating, and that internal honesty opens the door to the next habit one, so rare it physically separates high-Q minds from everyone else. Habit 8 is brutal self-honesty, not motivational quotes, not excuses. Dark psychology calls this ego stripping. High-Q minds don't protect their self-image, they attack it. When they fail, they don't ask, why me? They ask, where did I miscalculate? This is uncomfortable, painful, even, but it creates an unfair advantage. While others rewrite memories to feel better, you rewrite strategies to get better. You see your flaws clearly because denial feels more dangerous than embarrassment. This is why you improve fastened, why you're hard on yourself. You don't fear judgment from others. You fear wasting potential. But here's the tension. When you're this self-aware, you stop managing time like everyone else and start managing something far more dangerous. Habit 9 is invisible yet powerful. You don't manage time, you manage energy. In dark psychology, this is called cognitive prioritization. Most people fill every hour with tasks. You fill peak focus with the battles that matter. Morning, deep strategy. Afternoon, creative chaos. Evening, low-stakes maintenance. You flow with your mental rhythm, not a clock. Energy is finite. Time is infinite. You protect your sharpest moments like a treasure chest. But here's the subtle danger. People assume you're lazy or inconsistent. They don't see the method behind the rhythm. And if you misuse this energy, even briefly, it disrupts everything. Which leads to the final habit, the one that disguises genius in plain sight. Habit 10 is the ultimate camouflage. High Q minds know how to sound normal. Dark psychology calls this social masking. You take complex ideas and make them simple, not to impress, but to connect. Genius isn't loud, it's subtle. It whispers, not shouts. You don't use big words to dominate a conversation. You use clarity to influence. Others feel smarter around you without realizing why. It's emotional intelligence fused with raw intellect. And that's the final twist. The smarter you are, the more invisible your power becomes. So if you've recognized even a few of these habits in yourself, don't shrug it off. The real question isn't how smart am I? It's how effectively am I using the mind I already have? Maybe you've been hiding genius in plain sight all along. Which habit hit hardest for you? Drop the number in the comments. Let's see how many secret geniuses are out there quietly observing, calculating, and thriving.